I'm Ayla.
Hi, I'm Beth Ann.
And this is Let's Talk BL, a Boys Love podcast.
Welcome back to the podcast. It is Sunday special. I was like, wait a second. How do I do this?
Yeah, well, because we just wrote this intro. So the new intro is, welcome back to the podcast. It is Sunday, which means it's a very special day of the week.
Oh, thank you. I haven't committed that one to memory.
You know, season 5, we're starting this whole new thing. It's the first time we ever started a new thing on Sunday because it took us 4 seasons to get through all the shows. Yeah. Last season we definitely hit some lags in like series ending, series not ending. And then there wasn't enough old series because we'd gotten through the series. It's just, you know.
Also, note, if you DM us and ask us our opinion about a show, we're probably not going to give it to you very clearly because in our opinion, and if you're a loyal listener of the podcast, you know that we think anyone should watch any show. Just because we like it or don't like it should not have an influence on whether or not you want to watch the show. Although I have been getting DMs to be like, is this show toxic? Because people have started to filter out like more certain toxicity.
Right.
So there's that. But like, yeah, if you ask us if we like a show, I'm not going to tell you yes or no. I'm going to be like, watch a show. Just do it. Okay. Would you like to explain to the viewers our new Sunday special?
Yes. So as we mentioned last Sunday, which was the first Sunday special of season 5,
yes, we
are starting a whole new situation, a whole new segment on Let's Talk BL on Sundays.
We should call it Situational Sunday.
It's a whole situation. Because every Sunday is going to be different. We've got a grab bag of topics. So we are moving on to one of our new grab bag of topics. We eased in slowly with a series Sunday last week, but this week is not that week. This week is very special because for the first time, we are doing an actor deep dive. So the way that this is going to work is we will be educating each other on one of our favorite actors. And so this week in particular, we are going to be talking about Satang. So this is Satang Sunday.
Cute. I love that we started with an S.
Yes. This is Satang Sunday.
Not on purpose.
And Beth Ann, and so I had mentioned, I was like, listen, I know I should know a lot of stuff about Satang, but the only thing I really know about him is that like he's an angel and I love him.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's one of those situations, and this happens to me a lot with actors, where I'll be like, I know who he is, and I know that I should have more context and I should know all these things about him, but if I really sit and think about it, I'm like, I don't really know anything about him. And so what do you do in those situations? You go to your friend who knows all the things.
Yes.
So in this case, Beth Ann is the friend that knows all the things about Satang. So today she's going to educate me on Satang and who he is, and you as well. So if you are also curious about Satang and you want to get to know a little bit more about him, a little bit more of his background, his friends, his life, the life and times of Satang, welcome to the show.
I'm so excited. Yeah, I'll start actually by talking about when I became like a real fan of Satang, because obviously I first saw him in Futz, but didn't really know about him. And I feel like we talk about this a lot, where like you will have seen an actor in a series, but until they hit for you, you don't remember they were in that series.
I literally forgot he was in Futz.
Yes.
And like, y'all know, I am like, I'm a Ponpoo and Delulu.
Yes.
I am a loud and proud Ponpoo. No, I like Futz.
But Futz was my thing. You're Never Let Me Go trash.
Yes, I am Never Let Me Go garbage.
Futz, I feel like you appreciated Futz, but like Futz was my, like, I have the Futz t-shirt. I committed to the Futz.
I did not realize Satang. I think, but again, this is probably one of those things where it's like I knew it like intellectually, but I hadn't like.
Well, and I'll go more into that. Yeah. But I actually became like a fan of Satang as an actor from Wednesday Club. Okay. He killed it in Wednesday Club. We'll get to that. But first, as is tradition, we are going to do some nuts and bolts. His name is Satang.
No way. His name's Satang.
Don't quote me on this, but I think he's from Ayutthaya.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say, don't quote me on this. His name is Satang.
No, I think he's from Ayutthaya. This is the hard part about like the area surrounding Bangkok is that if you're within like an hour or two drive from Bangkok, a lot of times you'll just say you're from Bangkok or like around near Bangkok. And so there's not a ton, like his fan club didn't put like his hometown.
Unless you're from Nonthaburi.
Yeah.
Which like is bizarre to me. If you're Thai, can you please explain this to me? Because I have asked my Thai friends that live in Nonthaburi and none of them have a good explanation for me. So if you can explain this, I do not understand why. So Nonthaburi is essentially just a suburb of Bangkok.
That's where Nannon's from.
And Nannon is from there. But again, if you're from the suburbs in the States, right? So like, let's use Houston as an example. If you grew up in Spring, which is a suburb of Houston, you just say you're from Houston.
Yeah.
You just say you live in Houston. You're not like, well, I'm from Spring, I'm from Tomball, I'm from Sugarland, I'm from Pearland, right? And like similarly with like, I mean, I don't know suburbs.
Atlanta.
Sure, right? Like
You just say you're from Atlanta.
and like New Orleans, you wouldn't say you're from like Metairie, right? Like you'd be like, oh, I'm from New Orleans.
Right.
And so like I am so confused as to why you can be from Ayutthaya and be like, oh, I'm from Bangkok, which is like a good like
hour,
full on hour and a half drive. And then you're from Nonthaburi and you're like, no, I'm not in Bangkok, right? Like, because they freak out. They're like, I'm not in Bangkok. I'm in Nonthaburi. Like, I don't get it. I'm just very confused. Maybe it just comes from like living in Houston where everything is at a minimum 30 minutes away. Like,
right.
I live in the like actual solid Houston metro like center and it's still everything's 15-20 for me.
Yeah.
Right. And so maybe that's why. Unclear. I don't know. It's confusing.
Unclear. But also he went to high school at an all boys school in Bangkok. So that's a lot of it too, is that some people like don't really claim their hometown or don't talk a lot about their hometown because like a majority of their teen years was spent in Bangkok at school. So my assumption is Ayutthaya based on the school announcement that was posted when he got into the all-boys school was an Ayutthaya school. Okay. So that's why I'm assuming. Again, if you know, put it in the comments. His debut year was 2019, and his debut work was School Star 2019. He then went on to make a guest appearance in Bad Genius, Gifted Graduation, Fish Upon the Sky, Bad Buddy, Star and Sky, Star in my mind, My School President, Double Savage, Our Sky 2, Wednesday Club, and currently We Are.
I didn't know he was in Double Savage.
I didn't either. I didn't watch Double Savage. You watched Double Savage?
I tried to watch Double Savage.
Yeah.
And that's on that.
I feel like that's how it is with a lot of the street shows, honestly. I've dropped a couple of those. I wonder what he plays in Double Savage. He killed it in Wednesday Club. I adored Wednesday Club. Also, you got to see Pooin being a little rent boy, which was really fun to watch.
I mean, I'm only in it for Pon Pooin. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Please don't come for me. Please.
So the cool fact about Fish Upon the Sky is that we have Winnie Satang, his partner being Winnie. We have Winnie Satang because people shipped Winnie Satang in FUTS. They were part of the friend group. They were not officially coupled, but people were like, oh my gosh, they have that spark. They have that chemistry. Make them kiss. And so the director of My School President went to the internet to figure out who he should put in My School President. And that's how Winnie Satang came to be.
That's really cute. Also, like, Winnie and Satang and My School President were so funny because it was seriously a little bit, like, up until the end. Like, you really didn't know. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then we really didn't get, like, true confirmation until Our Sky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of those that you have seen, do you have a favorite Satang character?
I mean, for me, My School President.
Okay.
So cute.
I am obsessed with his character in We Are.
Like We Are, yeah.
Oh, like somebody posted a clip on Twitter. Most of this information I got from Twitter, but somebody posted a clip on Twitter, and this is why I do know a lot of this information because I just stay on Twitter /X, whatever you want to call it. I'm too old to rename things. Somebody posted a clip behind the scenes of Satang going into character as Tui, and it is fascinating to watch because you definitely see that change. Like, it's something about what he does with his eyes where, like, he has these puppy dog eyes as Tui, and oh my, it's like the talent. It's so fascinating to watch.
Interesting. Yeah,
It's so sweet.
I really want to see that clip. I'm curious to. I've never thought about like trying to watch an actor like fall into character.
It's fascinating.
That's something that I've just never really looked at, and like, you know, not to be like that person, but it like I was thinking, I was like, I wonder what that's like, and I was like, I bet it's like how like if you watch like dancers, people like they like prep, right, so they start like moving and and you see them like get into the like vibe of the song, and then they like launch into the dance. The dance. Yeah, it
is interesting to watch. I'm trying to think if I've seen anyone else. I'm sure I have, but like Satang is the clip that I remember most recently, mainly because Satang IRL is more, I would say he's like more quiet and reserved, and Tui is like a little golden retriever / like, actually I would call him like a golden doodle because he's like got that like excitable energy. He's just so beautiful. I feel like we can tell this story now. We had the privilege of seeing Satang IRL multiple times when we've been in Thailand. Or I saw him at the GMMTV Part 2.
Yeah, I did not because I was reporting inside.
Yeah, he breezed by. But the first time we happened to be in the building for an interview, and we like saw him in passing, and I remember making eye contact with him. He had a mask on, thank God, because I don't think I could have handled seeing his full face.
No, I was like so distracted. So like we were like leaving the interview that we had been doing, and so yes, we like saw him in passing. We like ran into him in passing, and we had stopped to talk to someone that we knew that was with him, and like he's wearing a mask, and so I wasn't really like, I was looking at the person that I knew and like talking to him because I was like, oh, this is my friend, this is someone I've worked with, like I'm so excited to see him. Like a behind the scenes
someone
person,
we know
not
personally.
an actor. Yeah, like a behind the scenes person. And so I was just looking at him, and I wasn't really like looking around me. And then I remember just like turning, because I at that point, once I had like said hello and done my like, oh my God, I can't believe like I'm so excited to run into you. Like it's crazy we're running into you.
We ran into that same person in the GMMTV building last time we were in Thailand too.
Yeah, we just always run into him at GMMTV building. But I like, you know, after the whole excitement of like, oh my God, it's so good to see you, I like looked at the group of people he was with, because I'm like realizing like, oh, he's with like a group of people. And I just like look over, and I remember just like making eye contact with Satang, and he's got the mask on, but like it's just so clearly Satang.
His like eyes were smiling.
And his eye, like, oh my God, he's like an angel. And I was truly so shook. This is how shook I was. Okay, I was so shook that I did not like, I was so distracted by Satang and just so like, oh my God, that I didn't realize literally there's a person now standing next to me in this group, and I'm just like looking at Satang and looking at my friend, and I'm like, oh my God, Satang, and I'm like trying to be cool, and I can feel the presence of a human next to me, right? Like you know what I mean? Like it's when someone's standing next to you and you can like, you know, someone's there, right? So I feel the presence of a human, but I'm so distracted by Satang that I didn't process that human until they spoke to me. And I look up, and it's Pond. And he said something, like he said something very basic like to me, and I just look up because Pond is quite a bit larger than me. And I just look up, and he's literally standing like shoulder to shoulder, like we were like basically like a hair's inch from touching. And I was like, and at that point I tapped out. I was like, I have to go. I was like, I can't make a fool of myself in this GMMTV building. Like, I was like, I gotta go. Like, I fully tapped out at that point.
Well, and once we walked away, we both looked at each other and we were like, but Satang.
Yeah.
That was wild. Okay. Yeah. Satang is a whole experience. He has some music, as most GMMTV boys do. He has quite a few singles and has done quite a few OSTs. There's a bunch that are just like have Thai titles, so I can't really name those. But you can find him on Spotify under Satang Kittiphop, which is shout out to GMMTV. They will get the music on there eventually. Sometimes it takes like a week. Believe me, I know. So he has No One Else Like Me from My School President. He has a couple of covers as well. He has All or Nothing from Wednesday Club, Missing Me from We Are, and one of the last Twilight OSTs, which is again in Thai because it's a cover of a song. Okay, so a little bit of his IRL stuff, his IRL friends that I could find. Mark Pekin. Lately, he's been hanging out with Mark Pekin. They did a live together, and they were wearing matching pajamas, and it was very cute. And I was like, what goes on? What goes on with these boys and their matching pajamas?
Old school friends, or is it like like
they worked
that
together
My School
recently?
President like bond and
I can't really tell because I can't really tell with the Thai as far as like another IRL friend is Fourth. So they were in my school. They were in Thailand School Star together, but I can't tell if My School President cemented it. And then I feel like all those GMMTV boys will just like randomly hang out together. So it's hard to tell like who's like casual friends. Kind of like, I don't know if you had this experience, but for me in college, I had like my core group of friends, and then I had like periphery friends where we'd happen to end up in like our school had a solarium like in the student union, and we just like if you had a break or if you had lunch, you would go to the solarium to see who was there, and it was potentially someone you would never talk to but like was in the same social circle, and so like you'd end up hanging out with this person for 5 hours because that was how long your break was, and you would never talk to them again. And so I feel like I wonder if that happens sometimes where like you have an appearance together and you just go out to eat dinner afterwards, so like then you're photographed together, but like
and now all of a sudden you're best friends.
So I can't totally tell who's real friends with who, but the ones that I did get was Fourth, because there's a lot of cute little quips of Gemini being jealous that Fourth and Satang were besties on the My School President tour, and then Mark Pekin because of the live that I saw. And then Twitter has a lot of footage of Pooin and Satang, and there has been quite a few quotes of like Fourth being like, well, if Satang and Pooin aren't busy, then they can hang out with me. And so like potentially that's the connection.
Sounds like a cute little like Three Amigos situation.
Also, I found a cute little video where Off-Road was talking about playing badminton with Fourth and Satang. So apparently they're friends with Off-Road. But again, I'm not sure if that's contextually badminton or if they're like actual real friends. Or like maybe
they're like badminton friends.
Yeah. Or we've talked about this before that a lot of times if you're the same age as someone, you typically call each other friends, but that doesn't necessarily mean that like you hang out in your besties.
It's a translation thing, right? It's like you say like, oh, this person is your same age, so they would be like, oh, go grab your friend, right? Like that's how like a teacher would tell you. They'd be like, go talk to your friend, right? But it's not your friend. Like in English, friend means like a deeper bond, but they're literally just saying like, you can speak casually to that person. That's literally all that means. So it's like it does become very confusing as like a Western fan.
The other part of that Off-Road quote or the Off-Road translation that I found from that video where he was talking about hanging out with Fourth and Satang, where somebody in the comments asked him if he had any friends his own age, and he was like, they are my own age, because I think Off-Road is like a little bit older than Satang and Fourth, because Satang is a little bit older than Fourth. I think he might be a year older than Fourth. But Fourth obviously is really young.
Right.
And so I think that's what they were joking with Off-Road about. He goes to Sinakurinwiwot, which, fun fact, if you don't know this, is like literally right beside GMMTV.
Yeah, they're like basically connected.
Yes.
At the Masawa, if you will.
Yeah, at the college, in the College of Social Communication Innovation, which is where Nanon goes, and Perth, and a handful of other people. But again, I can't tell if like there's cross years that you're friends with. Like if he, even though he's in the same school as those people, are you allowed to hang out with people of different years?
Yes, because you see it in the series, right? And like series are not real life, but like, you know, they do imitate real life. Yeah. Like there's the whole like take care of your nongs situation. I don't know if it's about hanging out and more about like
your schedule?
No, like you all know each other.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like kind of like how so like I don't know, the only context I can put this in, because I never really hung out like in high school or college with people that were like not in my year in that same context, but like if you're a dancer, which if you haven't picked up, I've been very into dance lately. Everybody that's on like the competitive team and like goes to the advanced classes, right? Like I see them in passing and we'll like talk and we'll hang out, and like if I were to see them at like another studio or something, we would like link up because we're like from the same home studio,
Right.
but like we're not necessarily, it's not like we're like kikiing all the time.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious to know if that then translates to like if they are in the same college in university, that if because they then work at GMMTV, like there's that extra layer of connection, so
right,
they wouldn't
just know your coworkers and your
so they wouldn't necessarily hang out if they were only in school, only if they were like junior senior in school, but like because of the overlap. Another important fun fact to know, we always, at least I always have trouble with this, because when we post things, when we are looking for information on people, it's always good to know fan club names.
Yeah.
And it's not so always straightforward, because you have such an umbrella of the different ways that fan clubs address each other. Sometimes they address themselves as fan club. Sometimes they're official. Sometimes they're family. Sometimes they're like so many other things. And so Satang's fan club across all the social media is Satang Family, which is helpful. And a lot of times, if you're looking for their biography, lately, most of them have an English translation of their bio if they're big enough. Some of the like baby boys don't have translations yet, but they will have a bio with all the fun fact information, which you can sometimes search. If it's not pinned, you can search it in X on like the mobile app. You just type it. I usually type in profile under, like, if you go to Satang Family, like their feed, I guess is what it would be called, then you can search their feed for the profile.
Yeah.
If you want to deep dive into these boys. Last but not least, he has a brand, as most of them do.
Yes.
A clothing brand called Kudos. Do you have any questions, concerns about Satang? Do you need any more information?
Yeah, questions, thoughts, concerns. Here's a tip. No. I think that like Satang is so interesting because, again, it was like with him, I was like, I feel like I should know a lot about him, and I feel like I should know his like personality type. But I was realizing, because if you hadn't watched the Let's Talk BL Season 5 trailer, our interview with Winnie and Satang is coming soon. And so before we interviewed them, I was like, I realized that I had this, like...
You know her face, you know her name, but you do not know her.
Personality, right? Yeah. Because I was like, oh, I have this perception of the type of personality he's going to have. But then I realized, I was like, wait, what am I like basing that off of, right? I was like, is it just the way he looks? Is it his characters? I was like, and I realized like I think I was basing what I thought his personality type in real life was off of characters, which isn't fair. And so like that was interesting to me when we interviewed Winnie and Satang, is like Satang is actually pretty, like, I wouldn't even call him reserved. Like, because I definitely went into it thinking, like, he's going to be so shy, he's going to be so reserved, he's going to be, right, like, and he definitely wasn't. He actually was pretty, like, mischievous. And, like,
and chatty.
He was a little chatty, but more so he, like, he was very, like, witty.
Yeah.
He was really witty and mischievous, and, like, I wouldn't say shy or reserved at all.
No.
And so that kind of, like, surprised me about his, like, character as a person, because for some reason I just wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. That makes sense. I would say also Winnie and Satang as a couple and as individuals are people that you see around a lot, but because they're not leads, they haven't been, like, main leads of a series yet. They're in this ensemble of We Are, so they're getting a lot of, they are part of the mains, but, like, they haven't, like, led a show solo. And therefore, I think that equates a little bit to there's not a ton of just Winnie Satang appearances that we've seen. And I feel that's where you get a lot of that context of like who they are as people and personalities is from the appearances that they do.
Yeah.
And so if you don't just casually see that, I had to do a deep dive when we were doing the Lost in Translation. And so I was telling you how I found out about some story that I found out. It was because Satang and Winnie were being interviewed on a carpet for something, and they were talking, and I was like, oh my gosh, Satang is so like fun and chatty and is the one that leads the conversation and is like cute and peppy and like, and yeah, I remember telling you that story and you're like, huh?
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
but I realized that was, like a,
'Cause you just didn't know.
yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't have any context for, who he was as a person. And so, I think that was my only other little, like, Satangism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to end this episode, if you love Satang, if you know more about Satang, tell us. We want to know what you guys know about Satang.
And fact check us. If anything we got was wrong.
If you know if he's from
fix
Ayutthaya.
Yeah.
The only person like I for sure know is from Ayutthaya is C. Because like they've said it in like some vlog that they did together. Like they always talk about the fact that C of Jimmy C is from Ayutthaya. I don't know why. I like maybe that's, you know how everyone has like, I'm like when I lived in San Francisco, like I feel like everyone has that thing about them that they reference. So I feel like C's the boy from Ayutthaya.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. This has been fun. I've had fun. Have you had fun?
I've had so much fun. Wani Sanuk Maika.
Yes. Okay, guys. Until next time, this has been Let's Talk BL. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow all things Let's Talk BL at Let's Talk BL.